is Emma. I always thought I understood what regret felt like. Until today, the coffee shop window frames him perfectly, like a photograph I've kept hidden for 5 years. Same strong jawline, same way of running his fingers through his dark hair when he's concentrating. He hasn't seen me yet. 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days since I walked away from the only man I've ever truly loved. And now, he's sitting 20 feet away, completely unaware that my entire world has just tilted on its axis. They say time heals all wounds. They lied. Chapter 1. Collision Course. My hands shake as I grip my phone, pretending to check messages while actually using it as a shield. I shouldn't be here. I should turn around, walk away, pretend this cosmic joke of fate never happened. But I can't move. 5 years ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life when I chose my career over Noah Bennett. 5 years of building walls around what remained of my heart. 5 years of convincing myself I'd made the right choice. And now here he is, in my new city, in my favorite coffee shop, looking like everything I've been trying to forget. "Ma'am, your order?" The barista's voice pulls me back to reality. "Sorry, just a large Americano, please." My voice sounds foreign to my own ears. I pay and step aside, still watching Noah from behind my phone screen. He's typing something on his laptop, brow furrowed in concentration, the same expression he wore when he was working on his novel all those years ago. The novel I never got to read. Did he finish it? Did he get it published? Is there a woman in his life now who knows how he takes his coffee and the way he mumbles in his sleep? The thought makes my stomach twist. Americano for Emma. I flinch at the sound of my name being called out, loud enough to carry across the entire cafe. And then it happens. Noah looks up. Our eyes lock across the room, and 5 years dissolve into nothing. His expression changes from confusion to recognition to something I can't quite read. Shock? Anger? Or maybe the same breathless panic I'm feeling right now. I should smile, wave, acknowledge him like a mature adult who didn't shatter both our hearts. Instead, I grab my coffee and bolt for the door like the coward I am. "Emma." His voice stops me cold, one hand on the door handle, the same voice that once whispered forever against my skin. I turn slowly, coffee clutched to my chest like armor. Noah stands just a few feet away, looking both familiar and like a stranger. His shoulders are broader than I remember, his face more angular. Gone is the scrappy grad student I fell in love with. This Noah looks successful, confident. "I thought that was you," he says, his voice carefully neutral. "Hi, Noah." 2 words. That's all I can manage. An awkward silence stretches between us, filled with 5 years of unspoken words. "You look good," he finally says. Not, "I've missed you" or "Why did you leave?" Just a polite observation that makes my chest ache. "So do you." I swallow hard. "I didn't know you were in Seattle. Moved here 6 months ago." He shifts his weight, a gesture I remember from whenever he felt uncomfortable. "Publishing house offered me a senior editor position." So he made it. The dream we once shared together, the future we planned over late-night takeout and early morning kisses. That's wonderful, Noah. Congratulations." Another silence, heavier this time. "And you?" he asks. what brought you to Seattle? The irony almost makes me laugh. Almost. I'm the new creative director at Horizon Media, and the job I left him for never worked out. The promising career in New York that I sacrificed everything for imploded after 2 years, but he doesn't need to know that. Noah nods, his expression unreadable. Always knew you'd make it big. The compliment feels like a knife between my ribs. If only he knew how spectacularly I'd failed before finally rebuilding my life. Someone bumps into me from behind, breaking the moment. A busy coffee shop isn't the place for this conversation, not that we're having much of one. I should go, I say, gesturing vaguely toward the door. I'm running late for a meeting, a lie. Something flickers in his eyes. Disappointment? Relief? Right, of course. He steps back. It was good seeing you, Emma. Good. Not great. Not amazing or terrible or earth-shattering. Just good, like running into an old classmate or distant cousin. You too. I force a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. Take care, Noah. And then I'm outside, gulping Seattle's damp air like I've been underwater. My coffee sloshes over my hand, but I barely feel the burn. 5 years of carefully constructed distance, shattered in 5 minutes. I make it 2 blocks before I have to stop, leaning against a brick wall as memories flood back. Noah's proposal under the stars at Montauk. The vintage emerald ring that had belonged to his grandmother. The way his voice broke when he asked me to be his wife. And then the job offer from New York. The fight. The ultimatum I never thought he'd make. The choice I never thought I'd have to make. Choose, Emma, us or New York, because I can't do long distance anymore. I can't put my life on hold while you chase something that might never satisfy you. I chose wrong. My phone buzzes in my pocket, pulling me back to the present. A text from my assistant about this afternoon's client meeting. Reality reasserting itself. I straighten up, wipe my eyes, and continue walking, 1 foot in front of the other, the way I've been moving forward since the day I left Noah behind. But for the first time in 5 years, I look back over my shoulder. Chapter 2. Ghosts. 3 days pass. 3 days of jumping every time my phone rings. 3 days of scanning every coffee shop I pass. 3 days of wondering if our meeting was just a cruel, cosmic joke, or the beginning of something else. I throw myself into work, staying late at the office, redesigning campaigns that don't need redesigning. Anything to keep my mind occupied. You look like hell, my assistant, Zoe, announces as she drops a stack of portfolios on my desk. Thanks. I don't look up from my computer. Just what every woman wants to hear on a Thursday morning. I'm serious, Em. She perches on the edge of my desk. You've been weird since Monday. Like zombie weird. Everything okay? I consider lying. I've gotten good at it over the years. I'm fine has become my default response to everything. But something about seeing Noah has cracked open a door I thought I'd sealed shut. I ran into someone from my past, I admit, someone important. Zoe's eyes widen. In the 2 years we've worked together, I've never talked about my life before Seattle. Ex-boyfriend? Ex-fiancé. Holy shit. She leans forward. You were engaged? How did I not know this? I shrug, trying for nonchalance. It was a long time ago, 5 years. And she makes a continue gesture with her hand. What happened when you saw him? Details, woman. And nothing happened. We said hello, caught up for about 30 seconds, and went our separate ways. Even as I say it, I know it's not true. Something did happen. Something shifted inside me when I saw him, like a compass needle finally finding north after years of spinning aimlessly. Zoe studies me with narrowed eyes. You're still in love with him? Not a question. Don't be ridiculous. I turn back to my computer. It was 5 years ago. We're different people now. She slides off my desk. That's why you've been wearing the same expression as those sad puppies in adoption commercials. What's his name? I hesitate. Saying his name out loud makes this real. Noah Bennett. The moment I say it, my email notification chimes. I glance at the screen and freeze. From Noah Bennett at meridianpublishing.com. Subject: cough. My heart stops, then restarts at double speed. Zoe, with her uncanny ability to read a room, backs toward the door. I'll just go do that thing, that important thing, somewhere else. I barely notice her leaving. My cursor hovers over the email, trembling slightly. I click. Emma, running into you was unexpected. There's probably 1,000 reasons why this is a bad idea, but I can't stop thinking about all the things unsaid between us. If you're willing, I'd like to meet for coffee, properly this time. No running away. I'm free Saturday afternoon. Noah, P.S. I finished the book. His novel. The one he started writing when we were together. The one about a man who travels through time trying to save his relationship from falling apart. My fingers hover over the keyboard. This is a mistake. Opening old wounds. Risking the careful peace I've built. But I'm typing before I can talk myself out of it. Noah, Saturday works. 2 p.m. at Elm Street Books and Coffee. It's quieter than where we ran into each other. Emma. I hit send before I can change my mind, then immediately regret it. What am I doing? What good can possibly come from dredging up the past? My phone rings, making me jump. It's my 2 o'clock client. Reality again, demanding attention. I take a deep breath and answer, pushing thoughts of Noah to the back of my mind. I have a life here, a career, responsibilities. I can't let myself get distracted by ghosts, even if those ghosts still have the most beautiful eyes I've ever seen. Chapter 3. Saturday. I change outfits 4 times before settling on a simple blue dress that Noah once said brought out my eyes. Then I change again, choosing jeans and a sweater instead. Too obvious, too much like I'm trying to remind him of who we were. Elm Street Books and Coffee is tucked between a vintage record store and a florist. It's my secret sanctuary in the city, with worn leather armchairs and shelves that reach the ceiling. The kind of place Noah would love. I arrive 20 minutes early, then spend 15 of those minutes sitting in my car, giving myself the same pep talk I give before big client presentations. This is just closure, a chance to properly end what we started, nothing more. I walk in at 1:55, scanning the room for him. He's already there. Of course he is. Noah was always early for everything. A habit that used to drive me crazy and endear me at the same time. He sits in a corner, 2 cups already on the table in front of him. When he sees me, he stands, a gesture so old-fashioned and so perfectly Noah that my heart twists. Hi, I say, suddenly shy. This man knew every inch of me once. Now we're like strangers performing a careful dance. Hi. He gestures to the chair across from him. I ordered for you. Americano with an extra shot. Still your poison of choice. The fact that he remembers makes my throat tight. Yes, thank you. I sit, removing my coat and hanging it on the back of my chair. Noah watches me with those intense eyes that always made me feel like I was the only person in the world. You look nice, he says. Simple words that somehow carry weight. Thanks. So do you. An understatement. He looks incredible in a dark blue button-down that makes his eyes appear almost navy. We sip our coffees, the silence stretching between us like a living thing. So, we both say simultaneously, then laugh, awkwardly. You first, I offer. Noah sets down his cup. I wasn't sure you'd come. I wasn't sure I would either. Honesty feels important suddenly. He nods, studying me. 5 years is a long time. Yes. I trace the rim of my cup with my finger. A lifetime almost. Are you happy, Emma? The question catches me off guard, direct and unexpected. So Noah, I consider lying. It would be easier, but something about sitting across from the man who knew me better than I knew myself makes dishonesty impossible. I'm content, I say carefully. My career is good. I have friends, a nice apartment. That's not what I asked. His gaze is steady. I ick down at my coffee. Are you? Deflection. Another old habit. I asked first. A small smile plays at the corner of his mouth. I take a deep breath. Some days. Not always. Not like. I stop myself. Not like when we were together, he finishes. The words hang between us. Too honest. Too raw. What happened in New York, Emma? Another direct question. The job you left for. The career that was worth. He doesn't finish. Doesn't need to. Worth us. Worth everything we had. I stare into my coffee like it holds the answers. It didn't work out. The understatement of the century. The company downsized after 2 years. The promises they made fell through. I ended up freelancing for a while before landing the position here. I don't tell him about the nights I spent crying in my tiny New York apartment, about how many times I picked up the phone to call him, only to put it down again, about how the success I'd sacrificed everything for turned to ashes in my mouth. I'm sorry, he says, and he sounds like he means it. That must have been hard. I look up, surprised by his sympathy. Aren't you going to say I told you so? He shakes his head. I never wanted you to fail, Emma. Even when I was angry, even when I was hurt, I wanted you to be happy. The sincerity in his voice breaks something loose inside me, a dam I've kept carefully constructed for 5 years. I made a mistake, I whisper, the biggest mistake of my life. Noah's expression softens. We both made mistakes. I gave you an ultimatum. That wasn't fair. You asked me to choose you, I say. That wasn't unreasonable. Maybe not, but I could have tried harder. Could have found a compromise. He runs a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it aches. I was scared of losing you to New York, to a bigger life than the one I could offer. So I forced the issue, made you choose. And I chose wrong, I say softly. Our eyes meet across the table. 5 years of regret and what-ifs suspended between us. You finished your book, I say, changing the subject before I break down completely. A smile touches his lips. I did. It's being published next spring. Pride blooms in my chest. Noah, that's amazing. Congratulations. Thank you. He hesitates. It's different from the version you knew. The ending changed. How so? In the original, the main character keeps traveling back in time, trying to fix the moment where everything went wrong with his relationship. Noah's eyes hold mine. In the final version, He realizes he can't change the past. He has to move forward instead. And does he move forward? My voice is barely above a whisper. He tries. Noah's gaze is intense. But some people leave marks on your soul that time can't erase. My heart pounds against my ribs. Noah. His phone buzzes on the table. He glances down, then back at me with regret in his eyes. I'm sorry, I have to take this. Work emergency. He answers, speaking in low tones. I watch him, cataloging the changes 5 years have brought. The confidence in his posture, the tiny lines at the corners of his eyes, the success that radiates from him. He hangs up with an apologetic smile. I'm sorry, Emma. One of my authors is having a meltdown about edits. I need to go smooth things over. Of course. I try to hide my disappointment. I understand. He stands, hesitating. This was good. Seeing you. Yes, I stand too. It was. Another awkward moment. Do we shake hands? Hug? Pretend the electricity between us doesn't exist. I'd like to see you again, he says suddenly. If you want to. Hope flares in my chest. Bright and dangerous. I'd like that. I'm hosting a launch party for one of my authors next Friday. At the Meridian Publishing offices. Would you come? As my guest? Yes. The word escapes before I can overthink it. His smile is like the sun breaking through clouds. I'll text you the details. Then, before I can react, he leans in and kisses my cheek, a brief touch that sends electricity down my spine. It's really good to see you, Emma, he murmurs, his breath warm against my skin, and then he's gone, leaving me standing there with my hand pressed to my cheek and my heart racing like I've run a marathon. Chapter 4. Crossroads. The week crawls by. Noah texts me the details for the launch party, and we exchange a few messages about work and the Seattle weather. Casual, friendly, nothing that acknowledges the current beneath the surface. Friday evening finds me standing in front of my closet, staring at options while Zoe lounges on my bed, offering commentary. The black dress says I'm sophisticated but not trying too hard. She muses. The red one says, remember what you gave up, sucker. I'm not trying to make him regret anything. I protest, though part of me knows that's a lie. Honey, you're definitely trying to make him regret something. She sits up, and that's okay. He should regret letting you go. I don't correct her assumption that Noah was the one who ended things. It's easier than explaining that I was the one who walked away, that I chose ambition over love and have been paying for it ever since. The blue, I decide, pulling out a silk dress that hugs my curves without being obvious about it. Good choice. Zoe nods approvingly. Now, what's the game plan? Are you going to tell him you want him back? Play it cool? Make him work for it? I sit beside her on the bed. I don't know what I'm doing, so. He was everything, and I threw it away for a job that didn't even last. Hey, she squeezes my hand. You made a choice. Maybe it wasn't the right one, but you couldn't have known that. And look at you now. Creative director at 32. That's not nothing. I know. I stare at our joined hands, but sometimes I wonder if success means anything when there's no one to share it with. Very philosophical. She bumps my shoulder, but tonight isn't about the past. It's about seeing if there's a future. So put on that dress, do that thing with your hair that makes it look all effortlessly sexy, and go find out if 5 years is too long to get a second chance. 2 hours later, I step into the lobby of the Meridian Publishing building. The space has been transformed for the event, with soft lighting and waiters circulating with champagne and hors d'oeuvres. A banner announces the launch of Midnight Echoes by Sophia Chen. I scan the crowd, looking for Noah. The room is filled with Seattle's literary crowd, writers, editors, agents, and journalists. In another life, this would have been our world together. Emma. His voice behind me sends a shiver down my spine. I turn to find Noah looking devastatingly handsome in a charcoal suit. His eyes travel over me, lingering in a way that makes my skin warm. "You came," he says, as if he half expected me to back out. I said I would. I accept the glass of champagne he offers. "Congratulations on the launch. The place looks amazing." "Thank you." He gestures around the room. "Sophia's book is brilliant. It deserves the celebration." "What's it about?" "Second chances." His eyes meet mine, a woman who gets the opportunity to revisit the 5 most important crossroads of her life and make different choices. The parallel isn't lost on me. And does she make different choices? Noah steps closer, his voice dropping. "But she learns that changing the past doesn't always give you the future you want." Before I can respond, an elegant woman in her 40s approaches. "Noah, darling, the Seattle Times wants a quote about the book." She notices me. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were with someone." "It's fine, Diane." Noah smiles. "Emma, this is Diane Winters, our marketing director." "Diane, this is Emma Mitchell, an old friend." "Friend." The word feels inadequate for what we were, for what we might still be. "Lovely to meet you," Diane says warmly. "Any friend of Noah's is a friend of mine. He's our rising star. You know, youngest senior editor in company history." Pride swells in my chest. That doesn't surprise me at all. "Hate to steal him," Diane continues, "but duty calls." Noah looks at me apologetically. "I'll find you after. There's someone I want you to meet." "Of course." I smile. "Go be brilliant." He squeezes my hand briefly before following Diane into the crowd. The touch, brief as it is, sends electricity up my arm. I wander the party, admiring the displays of Sophia Chen's novel and sipping champagne. Occasionally I catch glimpses of Noah across the room, speaking to journalists, laughing with colleagues, introducing the author to important guests. He's in his element here, confident, respected, exactly where he always wanted to be. He's seen his element here, confident, respected, exactly where he always wanted to be. "You must be Emma." I turn to find a petite Asian woman in a stunning red dress, watching me with curious eyes. "I am." I offer my hand. "And you are?" "Sophia Chen." She shakes my hand with a surprisingly firm grip. "The author whose party you're attending." "Oh." I feel myself blush. "It's an honor to meet you. Congratulations on your book." "Thank you." She studies me with intelligent eyes. "Noah's told me about you." My heart skips. "He has?" She nods, a small smile playing at her lips. "He said you were the one who got away." I nearly choke on my champagne. "He said that?" "Not in those exact words." She laughs softly. "But I've known Noah for 3 years. I can read between the lines. I don't know how to respond to that. The idea that Noah has been thinking about me, talking about me, all this time makes my head spin." "He's a good man," Sophia continues. "The best editor I've ever worked with. Pushes me to dig deeper, write better." She pauses. "But there's always been a sadness in him, something missing." "We hurt each other," I say quietly. "A long time ago." Time is a funny thing. Sophia's eyes are kind. In my book, the protagonist learns that sometimes the longest way around is the shortest way home. Before I can ask what she means, Noah appears at my side. I see you've met my star author, he says, smiling at Sophia. We were just getting acquainted, Sophia replies with a knowing look between us. But I should circulate, Emma. It was lovely meeting you. I hope we'll see more of you. She disappears into the crowd, leaving Noah and me alone again. Sorry about that, Noah says, his eyes warm as they meet mine. The demands of being an editor at a launch party. She seems wonderful, I say. Sophia, very insightful. She is. Noah glances around the crowded room. It's a bit loud in here. Would you like to step outside? There's a terrace with a view of the city. I nod, suddenly eager to escape the noise and watchful eyes. Lead the way. Noah guides me through the crowd, his hand resting lightly on the small of my back. Even that simple touch sends warmth spreading through me. We slip through glass doors onto a spacious terrace lit by string lights. The Seattle skyline glitters before us, the Space Needle illuminated against the night sky. We're alone out here, the sounds of the party muffled behind the glass. The air is cool, but not uncomfortable. Better? Noah asks, leaning against the railing. Much. I join him, looking out at the city light. You've done well for yourself, Noah. I'm really proud of you. He turns to me, his expression serious in the dim light. That means more than you know. Silence stretches between us, filled with unspoken words, the distant hum of the city below, the faint music from the party inside, the sound of my heart beating too fast. What are we doing, Emma? Noah finally asks, his voice low and intense. I don't know, I admit. I've been asking myself the same question all week. He shifts closer, close enough that I can smell his cologne, the same one he wore 5 years ago. The scent that used to cling to my clothes after we'd been together. When I saw you in that coffee shop, he says, it was like being hit by lightning. 5 years of trying to forget you, undone in an instant. My breath catches. I know the feeling. I dated, you know. His eyes never leave mine. Tried to move on. Even got close to serious once or twice. Jealousy, sharp and unexpected, twists in my stomach. What happened? They weren't you. Simple words that crack my heart wide open. Noah, I whisper, not trusting my voice with more. I'm not saying this to pressure you, he continues, or to make you feel guilty. I need you to know that what we had wasn't something I could just get over. I tried. God knows I tried. Tears prick at my eyes. I tried too. I dated. I worked. I built a life. But there's always been this emptiness. This Noah-shaped hole that nothing else can fill. He reaches out, brushing a strand of hair from my face. His fingers linger on my cheek. What do you want, Emma? Right now, in this moment, what do you want? The question hangs between us, heavy with possibility. 5 years of regret and longing crystallized into one moment of truth. I want to stop wondering what might have been. I whisper. I want to stop living with regret. I take a deep breath. I want you, Noah. I never stopped wanting you. Something breaks open in his expression. Relief, hope, desire. He steps closer, his hands coming up to frame my face. Tell me to stop, he murmurs, his face inches from mine. Don't stop, I breathe. His lips meet mine, and the world falls away. 5 years disappear in an instant. His kiss is both familiar and new, tender and hungry. My hands find his shoulders, then slide into his hair, pulling him closer. He makes a sound low in his throat that sends heat spiraling through me. We break apart, breathless. Noah rests his forehead against mine, his thumbs tracing my cheekbones. I've thought about doing that every day for 5 years, he confesses. Was it worth the wait? My voice is shaky. Yes. He kisses me again, softer this time, and not because I never should have let you go in the first place. The glass door slides open, breaking the moment. Diane appears, looking apologetic. I'm so sorry to interrupt, she says, though her knowing smile suggests she's not sorry at all. Noah, Sophia's about to give her speech. You should be there. Noah sighs, reluctantly stepping back. Of course, we'll be right in. Diane nods and disappears back inside. Duty calls, I say, trying to sound lighter than I feel. Noah takes my hand, intertwining our fingers. Stay after. When this is over, we could get dinner. Talk properly. I'd like that. He brings our joined hands to his lips, kissing my knuckles. This isn't over, Emma. Not by a long shot. And as we walk back into the party, hands still linked, I feel something I haven't felt in 5 years. Hope. Chapter 5. Reconciliation. The rest of the party passes in a blur. I watch Noah introduce Sophia, pride evident in his voice. I listen to her read an excerpt from her novel, a beautiful passage about time and second chances that feels written just for me. I sip champagne and make small talk with Noah's colleagues, all while counting the minutes until we can be alone again. Finally, the crowd begins to thin. Noah finds me by the dessert table, sneaking up behind me as I contemplate a chocolate truffle. Take it, he whispers in my ear. They're incredible. The publisher spares no expense for launch parties. I laugh, picking up the truffle. Are you almost done here? Just about. He glances around. Give me 10 minutes to say goodbye to Sophia and tie up a few loose ends. I'll be here. I pop the truffle in my mouth, closing my eyes at the rich chocolate flavor. True to his word, Noah returns in exactly 10 minutes. He shed his suit jacket and loosened his tie, looking more like the Noah I remember from our late nights together. Ready? He offers his hand. I take it without hesitation. Where are we going? There's a little Italian place 2 blocks from here. Best carbonara in Seattle. He leads me toward the elevator. Unless you'd prefer something else. Italian sounds perfect. The restaurant is intimate and dimly lit, with red checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. The host greets Noah by name and leads us to a corner table, somewhat secluded from the other diners. You come here often? I ask as we settle in. It's my go-to for comfort food, he admits. Reminds me of that little place in Brooklyn we used to love. The memory hits me with unexpected force. Sunday dinners at Mama Rosa. Noah always ordering the same thing, spaghetti carbonara and a glass of Chianti. Me trying something new each time. Walking home hand in hand, slightly tipsy and completely in love. I remember, I say softly. The waiter brings menus and takes our drink orders. Noah asks for a bottle of Montepulciano, another echo of our past. It was the wine we drank the night he proposed. Once we're alone again, Noah reaches across the table for my hand. This feels surreal, he confesses. Having you across from me again. I've dreamed about it so many times. Me too. I squeeze his fingers. I never thought we'd get here. Where exactly is here, Emma? His gaze is intent. I need to know what you're thinking, what you want. The waiter returns with our wine, pouring 2 glasses before disappearing again. I take a sip, gathering my courage. I want to try again, I say, meeting his eyes. If that's what you want too, I know it won't be simple. We've both changed. We've built separate lives. but I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. Relief washes over his face. That's exactly what I want. A second chance. A new beginning. But we need to be honest with each other, I continue. About everything. The past. Our expectations. What went wrong before. Noah nods. His expression serious. Complete honesty. I promise. We order dinner. Carbonara for him. Linguine with clams for me. And begin the delicate work of rebuilding. We talk about the 5 years we've spent apart. My failed New York career and eventual success in Seattle. His steady rise at the publishing house. The relationships that didn't work out for either of us. The moments when we almost reached out to each other but didn't. I drove by your parents' house once, Noah admits after our plates are cleared. About 2 years after you left, I was in New Jersey for a conference and took a detour. Just sat in my car across the street like some kind of stalker. I thought maybe you'd be visiting, that I might catch a glimpse of you. What would you have done if you had? He shakes his head. I don't know. Probably nothing. I was still angry then, still hurt. But I needed to feel close to you somehow. I kept your ring, I confess. The engagement ring. I tried to return it when I left, but you wouldn't take it. Said it was only ever meant for me. Noah's eyes widen slightly. You still have it. I nod. In my jewelry box. I've never been able to let it go. He's quiet for a moment, swirling the wine in his glass. I finished the book a year after you left, he says. The original ending was dark. The main character never fixes his relationship. He keeps traveling back in time, trying different approaches, but always fails. Eventually he gets trapped in a loop of regret, doomed to relive his mistakes forever. That sounds bleak, I say carefully. It was. Noah looks up at me. My editor hated it. Said it was well written but depressing as hell. Suggested I rethink the ending. And did you? Not at first. I was stubborn. Insisted that not all stories have happy endings. He smiles ruefully. But then something changed. I woke up one day and realized I was doing exactly what my character was doing, living in the past, trapped in regret. So you rewrote the ending? I did. His eyes hold mine. In the new version, the main character stops trying to change the past. Instead, he finds his way back to her in the present. 5 years later, they're different people by then, changed by time and experience, but the connection between them is still there, still powerful. My throat tightens. And do they get their happy ending? That's the thing about the new ending, Noah says softly. It's not an ending at all. It's a beginning, a second chance. Tears prick at my eyes. I like that version better. So do I. He reaches across the table, taking both my hands in his. Emma, I don't want to rush this. We have a lot to rebuild, trust to regain. But I want you to know that I never stopped loving you. Not for a single day. The words I've longed to hear for 5 years. The truth I've carried in my own heart. I never stopped loving you either, I whisper here, even when I tried to convince myself I had. Noah lifts my hand to his lips. Then we start here, tonight, one day at a time. We linger over dessert and coffee, reluctant for the evening to end. When the bill comes, Noah insists on paying, just like he always used to. Some things haven't changed. Outside, the night air is cool and clear, stars visible despite the city light. Noah takes my hand as we walk toward the parking garage where my car is. Can I see you tomorrow? He asks. There's a farmer's market in Pike Place I thought we could check out. like we used to do on Saturdays in Brooklyn. I'd love that. I stop walking, turning to face him. Noah, I need you to know something. I'm all in this time. No running away. No choosing career over us. I've learned what matters. His expression softened, and I promise not to give ultimatums, to support your dreams alongside mine. We're partners in this. Emma. Equals. When he kisses me this time, it feels like sealing a promise, like coming home after a long journey, like the beginning of something real and lasting. We say goodnight beside my car, reluctant to part. One kiss becomes two, then three, each one deeper than the last. It would be so easy to ask him to come home with me, to fall back into the physical connection that was never our problem. But we both know we need to take this slowly, do it right this time. Tomorrow, he murmurs against my lips. 10 o'clock at Pike Place. I'll be there. Erin. I touch his face, memorizing the feel of him. Good night, Noah. Good night, Emma. He kisses me once more, softly. Sweet dreams. As I drive home, I feel lighter than I have in years. The weight of regret and what-ifs finally lifting. Tomorrow is the first day of our second chance, and this time, I won't let go. Chapter 6. New Beginnings. The Pike Place Market buzzes with weekend energy. Vendors call out their wares, tourists snap photos, and the scent of fresh flowers mingles with coffee and baked goods. I spot Noah waiting by the famous pig statue, 2 coffee cups in hand. He's wearing jeans and a blue sweater that makes his eyes look even more intense. When he sees me, his whole face lights up. Right on time, he says, handing me one of the cups. Americano with an extra shot. You remembered. I take a sip, savoring both the coffee and the thoughtfulness. Some things you don't forget. He leans in to kiss me, a quick peck that still manages to make my heart race. Sleep well? Better than I have in years, I admit. It's true. For the first time in so long, I slept without the weight of regret pressing down on me. We wander through the market, hand in hand. Noah buys fresh bread and cheese for a picnic later. I find a bouquet of wildflowers that reminds me of the ones he used to bring me on random Tuesdays, just because. We sample local honey and artisanal chocolates, feeding each other and laughing like we used to. It's easy, being with him again. Easier than I expected. The 5 years between us sometimes disappears completely, and other times feels like an important chapter that brought us to where we are now. Tell me about your book, I say as we find a bench overlooking the water. I want to know everything. Noah's eyes light up the way they always did when talking about his writing. It's called Temporal Heart, he says, about a man named Ethan who discovers he can travel back in time to specific moments in his relationship with Claire, the love of his life. After she leaves him, he keeps trying to change their past to create a different outcome. But it doesn't work, I say, remembering what he told me. No, Noah looks out at the water. He eventually realizes that trying to change the past is futile, that some things need to break so they can be rebuilt stronger. In the end, he finds her again years later, and they start fresh, older, wiser, with all the cards on the table this time. It sounds beautiful, I say softly. When can I read it? He turns to me, something vulnerable in his expression. I have a copy in my car. I've been carrying it around for weeks, ever since I moved to Seattle, almost like I knew I'd run into you someday. You believe in fate now? I tease gently. The pragmatic Noah Bennett? I believe in second chances, he says seriously, and maybe in a universe that gives us what we need, even when we don't know we need it. We spend the day relearning each other. After the market, we drive to a park overlooking the Sound for our picnic. We talk about everything and nothing. Books we've read, places we've traveled, the people we've become in our time apart. I was so angry at first, Noah admits, as we lie on the blanket, watching clouds drift across the sky. After you left, I thought I hated you for choosing your career over us. I turned to look at him, pain squeezing my heart. I'm so sorry, Noah. No, let me finish. He props himself up on one elbow. I was angry, but eventually I realized something important. I wasn't just angry at you, I was angry at myself too, for not being more supportive, for making you choose instead of finding a compromise. We were both young, I say, both stubborn. We were. He traces my cheekbone with his finger, but that's not who we are now. At least, it's not who I want to be. Who do you want to be? I ask softly. Someone who deserves you. His eyes hold mine. Someone who supports your dreams as fiercely as his own. Someone who never makes you feel like you have to choose between love and ambition. Tears fill my eyes. That's who I want to be too. Someone worthy of a second chance with you. He kisses me then, tender and sweet, sealing our new understanding. Days turn into weeks. We take things slowly, rebuilding trust one day at a time. Dinner dates and long walks, Sunday mornings at his apartment, reading sections of his novel aloud to me, weeknight phone calls that last until we're both falling asleep. We navigate the integration of our separate lives. I introduce him to Zoe and my Seattle friends. He brings me to publishing events as his date. We learn each other's new routines, new habits, new dreams. It isn't always smooth. We have our first argument 3 weeks in, when an opportunity arises for me to lead a campaign that would require travel to Los Angeles for a month. Old fears resurface. Old patterns threaten to repeat. Take it, Noah says firmly when I tell him about the offer. It's an amazing opportunity, but we just found each other again. I protest. I don't want to leave now. Tima. He takes my hands. Listen to me. This isn't like before. A month apart isn't 5 years. I'll still be here when you get back. And there are planes, and phones, and weekends. You'd fly down to see me, try and stop me. He smiles. This is what I meant about supporting each other's dreams. Your success doesn't threaten me. It makes me proud. And just like that, we break the pattern that broke us before. 1 month turns into 2. The campaign is a success, with Noah flying down 3 weekends and me returning to Seattle twice. We make it work. We choose each other every day, even when we're apart. When I finally return to Seattle permanently, Noah is waiting at the airport with a bouquet of wildflowers and that smile that still makes my knees weak. Welcome home, he says, gathering me into his arms. It's good to be back. I breathe him in, this man who has become my home more than any place could ever be. That night, in his apartment, overlooking the city, Noah cooks dinner while I unpack the last of my things from LA. I've been gradually moving more and more of my belongings into his place, though we haven't officially discussed living together. Emma? He calls from the kitchen. Can you grab the wine opener from the drawer in the bedroom? Sure. I head to his bedroom, opening the drawer of his nightstand. There's no wine opener, but there is a small velvet box that makes my heart stop. I hear his footsteps behind me. I see you found it, he says quietly. I turn to find him leaning against the door frame, watching me with those intense eyes. "Noah?" My voice barely works. "I was going to wait," he says, crossing the room to stand before me. "Take you to dinner tomorrow, make a whole production of it. But seeing you here, in our home, after these months apart, it feels right to ask now." He takes the box from my trembling hands and opens it. Inside is not the vintage emerald ring from before, but a new one, a simple solitaire diamond set in platinum, beautiful, but different. A new ring for a new beginning. "I'm not the same man who proposed to you 5 years ago," Noah says, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "And you're not the same woman. We've grown, changed, learned what matters. I think we needed those 5 years apart to become the people who would truly make this work." He takes my hand. "Emma Mitchell, I have loved you through time and distance and heartbreak. I have loved you when I thought I'd never see you again, and I love you now, more deeply and completely than I ever thought possible. Will you marry me? Not because of who we were, but because of who we are now, and who we'll become together." Tears stream down my face, but they're tears of joy, of completion, of coming full circle. "Yes," I whisper, then louder, "Yes, Noah, 1,000 times yes." Slides the ring onto my finger, then cups my face in his hands. "No more wasted time," he murmurs. "No more regrets, just us, moving forward together." "Together," I agree, sealing the promise with a kiss. 5 years is a long time, a lifetime, almost, but sometimes the longest way around is indeed the shortest way home. Sometimes you have to lose something to truly understand its value. Sometimes the best love stories don't end with happily ever after the first time around. Sometimes they begin with 5 years later. That's the story of Emma and Noah. A reminder that sometimes the most beautiful beginnings come after what we thought were endings. If this story touched your heart, if you found yourself holding your breath during their reunion, or if you've ever wondered about your own what-ifs and second chances, I'd be so grateful if you'd share this journey with someone who might need to hear it too. Every like helps this story reach someone who might be standing at their own crossroads. Every comment connects us in the beautiful tapestry of shared experiences, and when you subscribe, you're not just following a channel, you're joining a community of dreamers, believers, and those brave enough to give love a second chance. Like Emma and Noah found their way back to each other, I hope you'll find your way back here next week for another story that might just change how you see the world. Because the most powerful stories aren't just told, they're lived, they're remembered. Until next time, remember that it's never too late for a new beginning. Your own 5 years later might be just around the corner. Thank you for listening, thank you for feeling, and thank you for being part of this journey with me.